April 7, 1994, Memphis, USA. The career of Auburn Calloway, a flight engineer for the American cargo company FedEx, is rapidly going downhill. The employer found that he lied in his resume about flight hours in the U.S. Air Force. A disciplinary commission, which will take place the next day, should fire him. This will put an end to his work not only in this company, but in aviation in general. Realizing the inevitability of his dismissal, the flight engineer devises a clever plan. He decides to hijack his own airline's aircraft, kill all crew members, and direct the aircraft to the FedEx headquarters in Memphis, simulating an air crash. This way, he intends to take revenge on the employer for the impending dismissal. In addition, he buys life insurance and expects that after his death, the family will receive a lot of money. So, the FedEx McDonnell Douglas DC-1030F is preparing to take off from Memphis to San Jose, California. When Captain David Sanders, Second Officer Jim Tucker, and flight engineer Andy Peterson board the plane, they see Calloway. He has a large guitar case in his hands. The airline widely practiced the transportation of employees on cargo flights. Therefore, the sudden passenger with unusual luggage does not raise unnecessary questions. The takeoff goes according to plan. The plane gains altitude and heads for San Jose. But about 30 minutes into the flight, the passenger begins to act. He takes 2 hammers out of the guitar case. He also has 2 sledgehammers, a knife, and a crossbow rifle. Calloway wants to stage everything as an accident, so he chooses hammers as a weapon. He expects that the injuries will most closely resemble the damage sustained in an air crash. 3 people in the cockpit are busy with their own affairs, and do not notice how a visitor with hammers in his hands approaches them. Without unnecessary talk, he breaks the skull of the second pilot and begins to strike blows at everyone else. A fight breaks out. The captain and flight engineer, despite the hammers, push the criminal out of the cockpit. At this time, the second pilot with a broken head continues to fly the plane. Soon, the hijacker returns with a crossbow rifle and demands that everyone remain in their places. But the bleeding flight engineer suddenly grabs the weapon and rushes at Calloway. Captain Sanders joins the fight again. At this time, second pilot Jim Tucker tries to control the plane. Due to brain damage, his right hand is paralyzed. However, he decides to help his comrades. With the yoke in his hands, he intends to create turbulence that will disorient the hijacker. The pilot performs unpredictable maneuvers in order to make Calloway lose his balance. Under his control, the DC-10 at an altitude of 11,000 meters performs a half roll, turning the landing gear up. Then, he enters a very steep dive. Upon exiting the dive, the plane almost falls apart in the air due to the high loads on the fuselage. The extreme maneuvers have the desired effect. The pilot in command and the flight engineer, despite their wounds, cope with the disoriented criminal and immobilize him. The DC-10 returns to Memphis. When the company employees board the plane, they find the pilot's cabin covered in blood. Sanders and Peterson are still holding the squirming Calloway, while Jim Tucker is practically unconscious in the co-pilot's seat. Calloway was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The crew members received the Gold Medal for Heroism from the Airline Pilots Association, the highest award a civilian pilot can receive. But due to the injuries they sustained, they were declared unfit to fly aircraft. However, Jim Tucker continued to fly his personal crop duster. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10 aircraft after the incident was repaired and returned to service. In 2008, it was upgraded to the MD-10, which, among other improvements, allowed the flight engineer to be eliminated. Later, on June 7, 2022, a fire broke out in the rear lower cargo compartment of the aircraft during flight, but it was successfully landed. On December 31, 2022, this aircraft became one of the last from FedEx's MD-10 fleet to be retired.